Welcome to the Americana Bistro Grill. I'm your host, Roberto Alvarez-Galloso, serving you the best in Americana music. Right now, we have one of the greatest singers institutions in the Florida Keys, originally from Massachusetts, Adrienne Z. Normally, I would have been here doing interviews in the Key Largo Festival and in the Key West Festival, but some things that are beyond our control, we've had to make some changes. And for me, it's a pleasure to have you here, Adrienne Z.
Thank you so much. You've always been so encouraging, Roberto.
For us, it's a pleasure and an honor because we need your music. We need all the independent artists. We need them for one reason. Not only do you do great music, but also at times like this, music brings unity. And we need unity. We're losing it.
I know so much.
And I could care less anything else. I just simply want unity through music. I want to bring up the questions. One of your favorite albums, one of your famous albums is Chameleon. And before that, you recorded a lot of other songs and other CDs. How can you reconcile or compare what you did in the past to doing Chameleons to what you're going to be doing in the future?
Wow, that's an involved question. Well, I historically have always loved working with people, and I'm actually doing a lot of that again, which is more of the same, but what I did before was I just worked with like one person at a time. We came out with a record, whole album, and I did an album with IEA called Sweet Life. That's a really, really good record that you can hear if you search it out on the streaming services, IEA Sweet Life. And it was a girl named Marcia Shawn Harris I worked with for years. All that stuff was great. And like the albums I did when I was solo under just the name Adrienne. Well, I'm still solo, but what I mean is just Adrienne and not with other folks involved. My stage name used to be just Adrienne. So you can find those albums on all streaming services as well, like Spotify and Pandora Radio and Apple Music has all my collections under my name because I have an iPhone. They know it's me. But Spotify, it's like Adrienne Z has its own stuff, and then Adrienne has its own stuff. They're not connected because of the metadata within the actual file of the song itself. It's kind of crazy, weird. But so what I'm doing now is I'm really gearing more of my writing towards my interest in getting my music in film and TV so it can be synced in movies and advertisements. I've been playing live my whole life, and I love to play live. And, lately what I've been doing since COVID is more of the Facebook online kind of thing and focusing really, really on original music completely, mostly anyway. And that is brought my desire and a serious appetite to really just do more of my own music, and I've been writing a ton of it. I mean, I think I've written like 17 songs since like last fall or something. A lot of songs, and some of them aren't finished, but I've got really nice pieces, and I'm working on developing them, and while I'm continuously writing new songs, and I've been recording a lot of music lately, and so I'm just collaborating a lot with artists that are interested in the same thing as me, that want to get their music in film and TV, and it's exciting to be so passionate and so. I mean, this whole time has been a horrible time as far as people dying and then with the riots and all the tension that's been building because people are going stir crazy in their own homes and the economic issues that people are facing. And they're all happy that that's occurred, as far as all this bad stuff. But I really feel like something good's going to come of it, and I'm hoping and praying that that's going to be the case, so that we grow as a society and racism becomes something of the past that we just look at and say, wow, can you believe, the people that are in the 2200s are going to be like, can you believe that back then they didn't think that just because you had a different color to your face that you were just like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
we have these very heavy divisions, and it's a tragedy that we in America have these divisions. We shouldn't be having them.
No, I think it's simply mainly because of the historical factor, and it's kind of been bred in a fashion that's an unhealthy way. It's like, because it makes no sense. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. There have been other countries that have been able to that have been able to transform and not have those problems. Of course, they still have the residual problems. There are some countries in Latin America that still have these residual problems, but they've managed to transpose most of them, and now you only have class divisions. But here in the United States, we have to really, really get over these divisions and start working together as a nation.
So is that true that it's a lot different in other parts of the world in this way?
Yeah.
Is that what
There, in some areas of the world, there are cases of racism, but not as much as I've seen here in the United States or in England.
Yeah.
In Latin America, it's mostly class, rich, middle class, poor. And you have regardless, you had unity. Here in America, we have to overcome these barriers. One of my ideas, I did have one idea to overcome the barriers, and it's something that maybe you and other singers could help. I still remember a song from, let me see if I could remember the name. The Youngbloods, I hope I got their name right. The Youngbloods, they had a song called Come. I'm not going to sing it because every time I've tried to sing, I've had many people throw bricks, tomatoes, eggs, you name it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. In fact, I managed to get one unity in my neighborhood. When I tried to sing, before I do my proposal, when I challenged one of my co-hosts in AMI Radio, when AMI Radio was on the air, that I would do a Bob Dylan cover. I did a Bob Dylan cover outside in the parking lot, and for one moment in time, I united all of the neighborhood, regardless of race, creed, color, religion, and political ideology. They united and started throwing eggs and tomatoes at me and saying, no more, and buying earplugs. So, but I don't want to go into that. I just simply want to say that I was proposing as a starter. Many people are going to say it's been done before and it hasn't worked, but I always think that maybe we should give it a try. Everybody singing, come on people now, smile at your brother. And then actually putting it into practice.
Yeah, that tune is called, come on people now, smile on your brother, everybody.
Yes, that one.
Try to love one another right now. It's called Get Together.
Get Together. I know the song existed, but I didn't remember the title. I was hoping that one day that all artists in Key West could unite and do that. The other part is we have to be very aware of how we express ourselves and how we talk with others and deal with others.
Absolutely.
And also delve into the history.
Yes. So it's so funny. I actually got questions for you. Since knowing you, it's so funny. But this is supposed to be an interview with me? I don't know.
Don't worry. Don't worry. My program operates under diversity. Without diversity of opinions is dictatorship. I'm all open to everything, except for the extremists.
Except for what?
Extremism.
Oh yeah. Me too. I'm personally into kindness, and you definitely have a lot of that going on.
Yep. Go ahead and ask me whatever question you want.
No, I was just one. I mean, you're so over the top supportive of artists. I was wondering if there's something that has compelled you to be so interested in being supportive and sharing people's music who are, indie artists like myself.
The reason why I got into supporting indie artists is that, number one, most of today's music is not what it used to be. I loved artists. I was born in Ohio. My parents were from Cuba. And before that, my ancestors were from the Basque Country of Spain and Galicia of Spain. And in all of my life, I would go to many of the artists' plays, concerts, the whole bit, here and in South America, and also in Puerto Rico. And I had a support and love and appreciation of arts, even at a time when people did not want to support arts. I'll give you an example. I was in Venezuela in 1978. I lived there. I did my high school there. At a time when everybody was doing John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever. I was at a international fair in Caracas, Venezuela. Yeah, it was Caracas, Venezuela. And in this international fair, I went to the fair in Chile. I didn't care about the government in Chile. I just simply went to this fair where they had this movie by a group called the Yapu, which they made a movie and an album called Despedida del Pueblo, which means leaving the town to go to get a better life. And it was very beautiful. And afterwards, I had questions and answers. And every time I've been to plays, concerts, and everything, I would actually talk with the artists. The reason why I support indie artists is that indie artists have a lot to offer more than the mainstream artists. And the indie artists, they're the voice, the heart, the soul of a nation. And here in America, you and others are that heart and soul, because you see mainstream music today. What do you have today in mainstream music? Not only in English, but I've also seen it in Spanish. You have a lack of talent, a lack of appreciation for what is real music. You and others symbolize what real music is. You symbolize Bob Dylan, Joan Baez.
Yes.
Peter Tork.
Yeah.
Peter Tork. I discovered Peter Tork through the Monkees. I later on found out he was a folk singer.
It's funny because most everybody that is probably like a big artist in the world of pop music, these days, I have come from, a background like that. And then, they get involved in the, with the backers and the industry, and what ends up happening is they basically put a package together that they can sell to the masses. And that's really what I guess pop music is, and mainstream music. Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or there's not really a talent out there. As a matter of fact, as I've been learning about writing songs for film and TV and what they're looking for, and I've really discovered something that I never knew. And I used to not have much of appreciation for, really produced music. It's funny because that we're having this conversation, because I also really appreciate just the raw thing. You know what I mean? With the acoustic guitar and the raw thing. One thing that I've learned, though, it's funny because I've been working with a lot of producers and learning, what they look for in advertisements is a lot different now than before COVID. I can tell you that. Because what they're looking now for in music for advertisements, let's say behind a commercial, let's say on TV, right? Or even on the internet, they're looking for more organic sounds now. Ever since COVID, and people have been getting back to their home bases and their families, and I really feel like this whole thing has changed. It might change where music is going to even flow. It might get more organic, like what they put out, what becomes mainstream. But what it's interesting, what I've been learning about, based on what they look for in advertisements, like before COVID, is and with all the new artists lately, they've been very, the producers that produce the artists take their sound and they basically manipulate it. Like they manipulate it in a way that makes the producer somewhat of an artist in themselves because of what they're doing to the music to create this bizarre pop sound that you really don't like at all. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
They're like, yeah.
But the
thing
is, I wanted to go with the original. I always loved the original.
Yeah.
And the thing is, not only have I loved the original, I also wanted to share it with the rest of the world. When I first started the Americana Bistro Grill, I was with AMI Radio, and the vice president of AMI Radio, Robert Herman, rest in peace. He told me, you love a lot of the Americana music. Why don't you get out in the open? There are going to be a lot of audiences. And that's what I did. Got it out in the open. And then I would leave the studio and go to the different fairs around here in Miami and in the Keys and interview the artists. In addition to interviewing the artists, having to talk about their music and everything. And I found out that there were many people who actually loved your music and other true singer-songwriters than the ones that I've seen. And I've seen the same thing in the Spanish-speaking world. Right now in the Spanish-speaking world, you have, if there's someone who doesn't have talent, and his family is well connected. It's not before in the Spanish-speaking world. You had talent at one time. You were in. Now you have a connection with the upper classes, and now you're in. And then the same thing I have seen in America.
It's the same thing. Yep.
I'm gonna give a big example. Although I like her music, her beginning, Shakira. Shakira started as a Colombian rock star in the 1990s, and she was really good. Her music, I still like her music, but I still like the original, because when she went to the big stars and everything fell apart. I always felt that with the indies, you have that originality, you have that tranquility. There were times when I felt very bad or depressed. That's another reason why I like indie music. First, you're very original. Two, your music has at times saved my life. Not yours personally, but many other indie music. I went through a very bitter divorce in 2011. Bitter in the fact that I was at my wit's end. My own wife, my own daughter, the Democratic elections expelled me. And I'm not going to say that I'm good or not good. I'm just going to say I did my best. But unfortunately, somehow, things fall apart. And at one of those times, I was very sad. I sort of wanted to walk among the living dead. And there were two independent artists whose music may have saved my life. One of them was Vanessa Peters. She's a Texas singer-songwriter. The other one was Laura Marie.
Oh yeah.
Laura Marie, I used to interview her by writing, and she sent me a lot of CDs. It was at that time when I was undergoing a really, really painful divorce. I didn't meet my second wife, who was Marilia. Marilia is my second wife, but Marilia and I were like boyfriend and girlfriend when we studied medicine in the Dominican Republic and graduated. But Laura Marie, I would hear her music. I especially heard her version of the Cherry Tree Carol, even at times when it wasn't Christmas. And I felt life was worth living and is worth living.
Nice.
There was that music. I used to listen to Laura Marie many times going on Chrome Avenue. Chrome Avenue, I live way in the back of Chrome Avenue. And I used to listen to Vanessa Peters, John Arthur Martinez, and other independent artists in English and in Spanish. And it was these independent artists that saved me.
That's beautiful.
That the first reason I said was you have original music that deserves to be heard. But the second is you do not forget the people who saved you when you were at your worst moments. The year 2011 for me is like the year 2020 for America. That's how bad I was. I thought that I was unable to crawl back, get over it. I thought at the almost tender age of 50, maybe I have reached the end of life. But it was your music. I knew your music later on when I was starting the Americana Bistro Grill. But it was music from Laura Marie, Vanessa Peters, Jen Hodge, John Arthur Martinez, even Mark Allen Atwood. Their music saved my life.
That's beautiful.
What I mean by save my life was I was not going to commit suicide. That I can assure you. Because I
Right.
loved the life too much.
I understand.
It was more like I wanted to be among the living dead. I didn't, but there was a part of me that after hearing the music, I said, no, I can't do that. Now, there was a mainstream song that also saved my life too. And it was a mainstream song that I heard when I was in Venezuela. Whenever I Call You Friend by Kenny Loggins. Whenever I call you friend. That also, the duo that he did with Stevie Nicks. That also saved my life, and it sort of like re-energized me. They said there's more to life than memories and just standing there and doing nothing. I decided to promote most of these indie artists, just the same way I promoted my other stuff like sports. Because if it was not for people like you, I probably would not have been married to my long lost love, Marilia.
Aww.
And
That's awesome.
well, I said, now I'm re-energized, let's see what I could do. After hearing Laura Marie and all the independent artists, and of course going to God, because I went to church too. Everything helps.
Yeah.
Everything helped. I found out that Marilia was still available. I didn't even know we were in contact. They've invented lies about her, and we got together, and it was the independent music that also helped me re-establish my life. I'm now 58. I'm now 9 years rehabilitated from all the negativity.
That's wonderful.
Of course, the negativity almost returned during the March scare, when we had all of this. And what did I do? I heard all of the independent artists, and I avoided a breakdown in March when I came back from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's there's always going to be things like that happen, and as long as you believe that everything happens for a reason, and just do your best and try to make the best of everything, no matter what situation you're being given. It's the best thing to do. It's not always easy, but it's a good thing.
Yep.
So I really just want you to know I appreciate that you appreciate music and that you are getting our music out there. It's awesome.
And
Thank you so much for that.
with the March scare, sorry to interrupt you, Adrienne, but with all due respects, I think it was a mixture of both. That I loved the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s and wanted to conserve it, just like I've also wanted to conserve the old Spanish music. I'm always that desire is to conserve culture and conserve the old music. That's one factor that helped. And the other factor, saving my life, gets me eternally grateful. When we had the March scare and I was almost about ready to have another nervous breakdown like I had in 2011, I said no, no, and no. I heard the Chameleons and I avoided it. I said no,
Awesome.
I have to see what happens to these artists. And I found that they were losing their gigs. I said no, we're not going to lose gigs. We're going to maintain the gigs, and you're going to maintain your jobs and maintain the music. Not because you need the jobs for pay. Of course, we need money. We need money. We need money to pay bills. We need money for electricity. We need money for clothes and to eat. That's the true value of money. But we also need money to help each other. And
Yes.
I did everything in my power that I could do to help the independent artists, because when I was down, you came with your music. And I said, I have to take the music and retransmit it or redo something. Of course, it's not going to be the Americana Bistro Grill of AMI radio when I could actually replay the music. It's just simply mostly interviews, and then I would be donating. I donated, $200 to the Health Alliance of Austin Musicians.
That's awesome.
I raised money for the Health Alliance of Austin Musicians. A little bit ridiculous how I did it, but I did it. I raised money for the Rocky Mountain artists. I gave to Brian Fields. In fact, I bought a mask from him. I bought a mask from him.
awesome.
I don't
You
need to.
I would definitely keep those masks on if you go out. Everybody that's gonna listen to this right now, anyway, you have to be careful because did you know that on June 6th, Florida had more cases than in the entire time in one day?
Yep.
Because nobody's taking it seriously. People think, well, just because if they're open doesn't mean you shouldn't be careful. You have to wear your mask and you have to still not go out. I mean, there's a lot of people down here in the Keys, they're going out. And there's crowded places, crowded places with people with no masks. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, what I've been doing, Adrienne, and with all due respect, because I respect everybody, I've only used the mask only in case that I had to use it like a requirement, like I had to go inside the store. Outside, where I'm here, I do outside. I don't wear the masks outside. But I do take it. I do take COVID-19 seriously, just like I take all other illnesses seriously. But I've also had another saying. I've been through worse and back.
Yes.
What I mean by worse and back, when I was in the Dominican Republic and I had to operate without masks, I had to treat tuberculosis patients. And I didn't even get tuberculosis.
Wow.
On the way to China, I was in China during the Olympics in 2008. I was there to do coverage for my blog. I don't know how I got there, but somehow I got arranged. And the airplane that I got in, I'm not going to mention the airlines because I don't want to get sued. The airline itself had problems with the gasoline tank and we had to land in Russia. On the way to Puerto Rico, when my wife was living in Puerto Rico and I was here in Miami, I took the Fort Lauderdale to San Juan flight. Again, I'm not going to mention the airline because I don't want to have any problems with the airline. I didn't know it. I was asleep at the time, but I later found out that the airplane was actually very close by to Hurricane Joaquin. And that somehow the airplane miraculously survived. In other words, I looked at life as risks. I only used the masks. Only two conditions I use the mask for. Number one, I use the mask only inside the buildings when it's necessary. And two, when you have masks from people like Brian, it's worth using them outside to promote Brian and all the other groups. But I'm also aware of the fact that many people have died of coronavirus, and that many people have died of COVID-19 itself being a complication of previous illnesses.
Yeah.
I've looked at all of the possibilities.
Yeah.
And I do believe that anyone who is immunocompromised must wear a mask or stay home. Even those who are healthy. For 1 day or 2 days, you could stay home. Last Saturday, I didn't go out. Last Saturday, I was cleaning the bathtubs and the room with my room with my wife. We cleaned everything, and we used masks because I'm allergic to bleach and detergent.
Yeah, you can actually use natural cleaners that won't hurt you at all. Vinegar and water, half vinegar, half water. It's a great natural cleaner, and if you add baking soda to the vinegar and water mixture, it really has a chemical reaction, and it's an incredible cleaner, and it doesn't bother you at all. It's all natural.
I might have to do that the next time. But as I say, I'm aware of all of this. As I said, if you're healthy and you want to go outside, fine, but also be responsible. We have to be responsible in this age also. I hope one day that we don't have to use masks. I hope one day we don't have to do social distancing. But if a person feels comfortable doing that, they should be allowed to do it. And those who don't want to respect and take things seriously, I've taken every health issue seriously. After all, when I work with patients having tuberculosis, actual tuberculosis in the Dominican Republic, I didn't have the mask, but I took a lot of precautions. They didn't have masks there. They were very short of masks in the 1980s. But I took all the precautions. And when you have a health problem, you do have to take all the precautions.
Yes, you do. So the main
and I also like the idea of the vinegar and the water and the baking soda. I'll use that.
You're gonna like it. It basically, when I clean my, anything. Sometimes it's nice to have like if you use baking soda and like a vinegar and water, half vinegar, half water, and let's say in your tile shower, like your shower stall or something like that, I'm amazed at how well there's a chemical reaction that happens even in your toilet between the baking soda and the vinegar. Actually, Google it. You can find out a lot of information. So, do we want to talk any more about the music or what?
What?
Do we want to talk any more about music?
Yeah, I do want to talk about your music. What do you see in the future in albums and in albums or CDs with your new creation?
I've got quite a few songs that I haven't even released yet that have been finished. So I'm working on figuring out the best way to go about it, because these days we need to, in order to have people even know about your release, there's things that you have to do as far as social media. And if anybody's watching this, I would so appreciate you following me on Spotify, and that'd be fantastic. And also Instagram. I'm going to do some more, mixed posts on Instagram, because that's, my niece said, Facebook is for old people.
Actually, I'm using Facebook. I'm using all the social medias: Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Twitter. I'm even using some of the Russian ones, VK.com. But I'm trying to still stay around the domestic. I only use the VK.com for European clients. But I'm trying to stay domestic because I get Google, I get Facebook, Instagram. Everybody gets Facebook and Instagram. I tried to do TikTok, but TikTok and I didn't have a good relation. But,
that's funny.
But Facebook and Instagram, I'm also using YouTube a lot. And Vimeo.
Yeah, I know. You're putting this on YouTube, right?
This is going to be on YouTube. All my videos have been on YouTube and Vimeo. In fact, there's been a weird thing. Many people must be appreciating your music, because I'm trying to get people to visit your channel, and I'm having an increase in people visiting my channel, interviewing all the artists, where we talk about everything.
Nice.
And in Spanish and in English. And in English, where the Americana Bistro Grill has grown. We're no longer with AMI Radio because Robert Herman, after he died, nobody wanted to maintain it. I was the only one who was willing to maintain it, but his widow, she was too depressed, and she didn't feel like maintaining it. And my other co-host, Michael Blanchett, who I love a lot, everybody wanted to go separate ways. It was like the breakup of the Beatles in a lesser way.
That's too bad.
So everyone went their separate ways, and I went my separate way. But I kept the Americana Bistro Grill not for me. I don't look for fame or fortune. If I get it, well, I get it. Mine is to make sure that your music survives. Your music and music of all independent artists.
Thank you.
Because it's not for me. I'm not even of any aristocratic blood. All of my relatives, all of my ancestors were peasants in France and in Spain. I just simply want you to have the music, because you need to get your music promoted, especially when all of your house concerts have been canceled.
Right. Well, I certainly appreciate your, putting us out there. I really appreciate that so much.
I didn't want to bring up the money that I have given to everybody, because once Jesus, and I'm not going to quote all of the Bible thumpers. I'm going to quote only the one thing that Jesus said. If you do something, don't let others know it. I'm only letting everybody here know it because of the fact that independent artists have to maintain themselves, and they have to pay the bills. And last March, with all of this going around, I didn't know what happens, but I wanted to help. Gleewood, a New Mexico group. I also donated to them, and I'm waiting for their their cap. Instead of using a sports cap, I'm using the musician's cap. So I want to get the cap of Gleewood so that I could do Gleewood and the mask when I'm in the Keys. The mask with... I wanted to do Adrienne Z and Gleewood at the same time.
Nice.
That's the only time we'll do a mask outside. And when I promote a musician.
Nice.
If I'm gonna use a boring mask, no. I use the boring mask inside the store. But if Brian, he gave me a great mask, so I want to use it when I'm in the Keys, and then the Gleewood cap. And of course, I want to promote your music and promote Chris and Chris. I also want to promote Chris and
Danny.
I haven't forgotten them. I promoted their social distance concerts. I love every minute of their concerts. I'm even promoting Lauren Davidson.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that so much, and it's been great speaking with you.
For me, it's a pleasure and an honor speaking with you. I just want to wish you the best. And
thank you.
I do hope, my biggest hope is that we could have unity. We have too much division. And I hope that indie music, no, I'm not going to say I hope. I'm declaring that indie music is going to play a big role unifying the nation.
I love it. Nice.
I'm not going to say I hope. We're going to unify the nation with indie music. Of course, I'm not going to be singing Everybody Get Together. Because I get another. I'm going to let you and all the independent artists do that. If I were to sing, I would really get a lot of unity in the forms of tomato and eggs. And my insurance company doesn't pay me to get pelted with eggs, tomatoes, and everything else. I'm not a singer. I'm just simply someone who loves great music and feels that the great music has to be promoted, and that all of us have to transcend different ideas, different ways of thinking, and different backgrounds, and form as one nation with indie music.
I agree. Totally.
That's all I could say. We may not see eye to eye on many issues. But again, here in Miami, I haven't seen eye to eye on many issues with many people. Because here many people talk about Republicans and Democrats, and I don't even belong to either party. As a U.S. Latin, a U.S. Hispanic, and Cuban, and Spanish, I'm a libertarian. How can you believe in God and be a libertarian?